I don't know what a catch is anymore, but I do know the Patriots just played the most winnable game on their schedule, and they lost. This is the Locked On Sports Boston Patriots postcast.
You are Locked On Patriots postcast, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Locked On Patriots postcast, Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Let's see if we can get through 25 minutes here. Let's see if we can. 15-10, Miami takes down the Patriots in Foxborough. Again, like I mentioned in the cold open there, definitely the most winnable game on the Patriots schedule. The way they're constructed right now, the two worst teams in the league probably with Miami's quarterback situation, and you lost. But you led for most of the game. The old Dan Duquette special. You led for a lot of it. You didn't win it, but who expects you to do that? It's tough to overcome the mastery of Tyler Huntley and that stellar Miami Dolphins special teams unit. But really, where this game needs to start and end is with what should have been the game-winning touchdown from Jalen Polk. It was actually a good drive from the Patriots. I didn't expect, with 4.5 minutes left, needing a touchdown, that they had any kind of hope, which is really sad. But that's where we're at right now. We all know that in 2024. And they did it. They scored a touchdown. The league did not want it to count because of probably the dumbest rule in the rule book, I think. I think with that terrible call, we found the worst rule in the NFL handbook. Jalen Polk gets 2 feet down, inbounds, and they say, well, not that way. I know we say the NFL rulebook says if you get 2 feet inbounds, that's a catch, but not the way you did it. We don't want that. It's complete bull. How does that make sense within the parameters of football in any freaking way? So he gets the first foot down. The second one, he toe taps. But after he toe taps, the heel steps out of bounds. So if it's on the sideline, he can do a toe tap. But here in the end zone, in the back of the end zone, he can't? How is that a rule? How is that allowed? That's the dumbest rule I've ever heard. In this sport. And there are some dumb ones. But how on earth does that make sense? How is that good for the league? He gets 2 feet down in bounds, and it's not a touchdown. They say, not that way. That doesn't count. That's such bull. This game was already a terrible look for the NFL. I joked that it should be blacked out in every market. The NFL shouldn't allow people to see this. This should become lost media. But then they say, how can we, the NFL, make it worse? How can the Shield make this game possibly worse than it already is right now? The Patriots get absolutely boned on that call. Hosed, porked, whatever you want to call it. You can even say it's the right call. It is an absolute bullshit rule. It's so bad. You need to get 2 feet in bounds, but not that way. That's so dumb. We can have guys with a forearm down in bounds, and that counts. But 2 sets, 10 toes in bounds doesn't always count. How does that make any sense? And it cost the Patriots the game today. I know there's plenty of other things you can point to, but the Patriots are a terrible team. They need any quote-unquote break that they can get. I wouldn't even call this a break. Your receiver got 10 toes in bounds. How is that not a catch? God, this league should be absolutely ashamed of itself. It's a completely unwatchable product today. The 2 worst teams in the league, as they're assembled right now, flags on every other play. And finally, there's a good play in this game. At the end of the game, game-changing play, and they say, no, that's not how it works. This is the experience of the 2024 Patriots, is that nothing is good. Like, not a single thing. There's no part of the team that's actually good. There's no part of the game that's actually good. The game flows suck today. The broadcast teams are terrible that get these Patriot games. Thank God Brady got flexed out of this game, because that would have been an absolute embarrassment for what he did for the franchise to make him sit there in that stadium and watch that. But then I got Mark Sanchez, who at the end of the game is saying, the Patriots are down 5, and he's saying, well, you could get a quick field goal here, and then you stop them and get another field goal. And I'm like, nobody on the planet Earth other than you is thinking like that. Nobody. There's under 2 minutes to go, and he's talking about playing 2 possessions, 2 field goals when they're down 5. As bad as the Patriots coaching staff and their team is, and how bad they know they are, the Patriots aren't even thinking that. And Mark Sanchez is trying to tell me that. And then they come out of a 2-minute warning commercial break, and he goes, well, this is 2-down territory here. You got to play it all 4 downs. Field goal does you no good. Mark, who are you kidding? We just heard you say it. We all heard that. But I think the Patriots are going to have a serious grievance with the league over that call. I mean, that has got to be addressed in the owners' meetings after the season. It just has to. I know it's one of those things where until it happens to the Chiefs, they probably won't review that. But that is absolute garbage. Total garbage, man. You want to say the tuck rule was a bad rule? Wasn't the best rule in the game. It at least makes more sense than that. The tuck rule, you tried to take out any part of a judgment call. But that ruling against Jalen Polk makes no sense. Absolutely no sense in the world for anyone that has ever watched football. You would say, well, how is that giving any kind of advantage to the receiver? He got 10 toes down. But the back heel goes down after he has landed both feet, and that is an incomplete pass. Somehow, some way, the Patriots will find any way possible to not win a football game. Anything's on the table. You go up against the only team with a worse quarterback situation than you, and you let them run it just right down your throat on the last drive. It was over 7-minute drive that the Dolphins utilized to take the lead. 15 plays, 80 yards, 7.5 minutes. They completed 1 pass on that drive, got a pass interference on another 3rd down where Ellis was way late getting to his assignment. And then after that, 7 straight runs right down your gut. Touchdown, game over. 4.5 minutes left. Of course, it shouldn't have been game over, but this is the New England Patriots we're talking about. It was game over. And there were plenty of other mistakes made by this team in crunch time and at various other points in the game that solidify that they shouldn't. We're going to go over those mistakes and where this game really turned in the favor of the Dolphins coming up after this. Because today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Gametime. Gametime is the only place I go to buy my tickets, y'all, because I get in there and I toggle the all-in pricing tool. That means the price I see is the price I am going to get. Plus, you get a panoramic view from your seat before you hit purchase, so you're not buying obstructed view seats. And if you are, it's your fault, okay? Then it's your fault at that point. Plus, it's back with the lowest price guarantee, or Gametime's going to credit you 110% of the difference, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today, because what time is it? It's game time. So the call against Jalen Polk is what will get remembered, and it should. That's a bad look for the league and for professional football. You just want to say the rule, it's the rule. You're probably right. That's the worst rule I've seen in the rule book. I mean, that is so beyond awful. But other than that, after that, I should say, the Patriots, now with a 3rd and 10 and a couple of shots at the end zone. Again, there's still time here. Nobody blocks Emmanuel Ogbah on 3rd and 10. Guy's been sacking quarterbacks for 8 or 9 years in the NFL now. No one blocks him. Just lined up in the 5 technique. No one picks him up. No one even chips him. And Jacoby's got to throw it out of bounds. No chance on the play. Absolutely no chance. What do you expect from this offensive line, which I believe each member of the offensive line had a penalty today? So way to spread that love, guys. Way to not only have one of you have a terrible game. How about you all do it? Yes. Communism on the offensive line. Plus, after that, 4th and 10, Hunter Henry, again, you're one of your leaders, one of your veteran guys, 10 plus years in this league. False start. 4th and 10. Not like it's a crucial down in the game or anything. Goes to 4th and 15. Of course, it has no shot. No shot. And let's talk about the veteran aspect of this team, because that's why we have Jacoby Brissett in there, right? That's why the Patriots are rolling with their guy. He gives them the best chance to win because he is a pro. He is a veteran. He wins games in between the ears. He might not have the arm talent that Drake Maye has, but by golly, does he know how to win games? Does he know how this league works? Because in the last play of the game, with 10 seconds left, they're throwing it 30 yards down the field, inbounds to Hunter Henry at about the 12-yard line. What the hell are you doing? What are you doing? The 2 reasons that the Patriots could theoretically roll with Jacoby Brissett over Drake Maye: he doesn't turn the ball over, and he makes good decisions. Last week, he turned the ball over twice. This week, he made a piss-poor decision to end the game. Piss-poor. And it wasn't the only bad choice, because I can't get over how bad this team is at clock management. With the veteran quarterback on the field, I get it's a first-year head coach, but this is supposed to be the guy who played under Belichick, the complete situational football coach, and they can't manage the damn clock ever. It screwed them in the Seattle game, and it really didn't do them any favors in this game either. Luckily, Miami is so bad that it didn't really directly kill them, but they lost anyway. The end of the first half, they get the ball with, a minute 50 left. I took this note. Got the ball with a minute 50 left. They ran the ball, okay, first play, and you're thinking, okay, that makes sense. This team, it's sad. It's sad that this team doesn't have any confidence in a 2-minute drill before the half whatsoever. But, okay, whatever. Let's just run the clock down on them, get a first down, move this thing along. You're inside your own 20. Instead, the Patriots throw twice after that. Both incomplete. Miami doesn't have to burn either of their 2 timeouts, and they get the ball back with a minute 20, a minute 10 left in the half. Braxton Berrios in a short punt takes him into plus territory. Thankfully for you, Miami is so freaking terrible that they somehow did not score there. They have the bungled snap on the 3rd down play. Then they have to kick a field goal. They bungle that snap too and just sit on it. And so it's no extra points. But that is the epitome of how brain dead this team is. Let alone the fact that they totally suck, that their personnel sucks, and that they can't win any NFL games with the actual guys they have out there. But then you add on the clock management, the penalties, just one after the other after the other. This team, if they played even just a little bit well in the margins, they would be in more of these games against decent teams. Instead, you played the worst team on your schedule and you lost because you suck on the field and you suck in the margins. You suck coaching, you suck at quarterback, you suck on defense, you suck running the ball, you suck protecting the quarterback, you suck at wide receiver, you suck everywhere. And it's completely unwatchable. As if the things in between the whistles aren't bad enough. But then you add the litany of penalties. Both teams, by the way. Because Miami, 6 for 54 yards. It's not a great day at the office for penalties. What if I told you they only had half of the penalties the Patriots had? 12 penalties for 105 yards. That right there is how you lose to the worst quarterback team in the league at home. That's how you do it right there. And you might have taken the mantle. You didn't take second place. You had a chance to get into second place in the AFC East for whatever that's worth. Okay. You had that chance. And instead, the mantle you took home at the end of the day is, yes, we are somehow worse than Miami. We have the worst quarterback situation in the whole NFL. I shouldn't be surprised by this. They were the worst team in the NFL last week. They're the worst team in the NFL this week. What changed? Nothing, man. And somehow, after that first drive especially, you knew that somehow the worst offensive line in the league has gotten worse. I mean, 2 plays on that first drive were like, oh my God, how is any quarterback going to escape this? Jacoby Brissett, Drake Maye, Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick. No one was escaping those rushes that the Patriots offensive line allowed. Just horrible, man. Like the first possession, Brissett goes into a 5-step drop, and clearly the offensive line did not know that that was the play, that it had to be a 7-step drop, because immediately the pocket was gone. Immediately. They were all over him from the jump. This Patriots team is already really bad, and now they can't get out of their own way. And I heard the whole time how great Jalen Polk is, how great he was. The whole game, Mark Sanchez, great orator and analyst he is. How great Jalen Polk has been. And you see some of the PFF numbers. He's getting separation. But he had 1 catch. Should have been 2. 1 catch on 6 targets. That's why you can't have, that's why with the rest of the offensive situation you have, you can't have a rookie receiver be option number 1. By the way, once again, 0 targets for Tyquan Thornton today. Wasn't on the inactive list. But absolutely non-part of the game. Pop Douglas had a pop. 6 catches, 59 yards, had a big one on that should have been touchdown drive. Converted a big time 3rd down. It was like a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10. Pop Douglas came through. Keyshawn Butte had some important catches today. But once again, you can't get anybody really involved other than Pop Douglas in the receiving game. Ramondre Stevenson gets off to a great start, shushing the haters with a 33-yard touchdown run in the first quarter. And then what? Once again, didn't get to 100 yards. He might not get to 100 yards again in his life at this point, as long as he's wearing a Patriots uniform. No way. And meanwhile, they just threw it right down your gut the whole game. If Miami was even a little bit of a capable football team, there would have been 30 points scored. The way the Patriots played defense today, just terrible. Ellis, Tavai, they have no clue what they're doing out there. Absolutely no clue. Someone's running to a receiver really late, right before they're about to snap the ball. You can guarantee it's one of those 2 guys. And Mike McDaniel, genius play caller he is, just isolated Tavai in coverage. How many times today? Time after time after time. And if I had to hear the name Jonnu Smith one more time, I was ready to vomit. Why can't the Patriots get guys like that? Sure would be nice to have a playmaker like that, a weapon like Jonnu Smith. Instead, Miami gets him. And Tyler Huntley outperforms Jacoby Brissett. But Brissett almost had 5 yards of completion. Almost. Yeah. I don't know how much longer you got to sit and watch this. And I kind of said it last week. This would be a likely good stopping point after Miami to stop with this experiment and get into the real quarterback experiment. So let's talk about it. Is this the time? We'll address that coming up on the Locked On Patriots postcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Okay, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you're going to be able to check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you placed your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Let me say that again. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet on FanDuel. That's FanDuel.com. Once again, FanDuel.com. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Okay, final segment of the postcast is usually reserved for the turntables, where the game turned, usually, against the Patriots. And I think this one is kind of an easy one in terms of the moment you look forward and realize the game was lost. It was that call. And I know I've mentioned it a few times here. I just can't believe that's a rule. That is such a horrid rule that a guy can get 10 toes in bounds without any part of his body being out of bounds in that time, and it is still ruled an incomplete catch because it's somehow out of bounds. I don't get it at all. So to me, that is the turntable, because then you go to 3rd and 10, 4th and 10, false start on 4th and 10, and it's over. But really, there should have been like 2 or 3 turntables plays for the Patriots on special teams. This is the worst. I'm not kidding. The worst special teams game I've ever seen at the NFL level, ever. And they accomplished that in a half, by the way. But missed field goals for both teams, blocked punt, fumbled snap on a field goal attempt for Miami. It didn't matter, because whatever you could do poorly, the Patriots could do even worse. And by the way, I know the Pats have a good punter now, but there was twice in that game where they could have flipped the field. One of them, they even took a delay of game penalty to give the punter more room, and he can't pin it inside the 20 or inside the 10. He goes into the end zone both times. I know there are people out there, whoa, well, if the criticism is he's too good at kicking the ball, well, I'm sorry, this is the NFL. The National Football League. Okay, if you can't pin a team inside the 10 ever, then you're not an NFL punter. You're just not. So it's a learning curve for Behringer. It's a learning curve for a ton of these guys, apparently. But anything you could do, we can do worse on special teams. And talk about just a terrible advertisement for the NFL today. The way these two teams played and the officiating in it, the way it came down at the end. Just all around not good for your team whatsoever. And that's how you get to a 15-10 loss to the worst quarterback team in the league outside of you. And so now, I mean, we're fed up. Like I pitched out like, hey, after the Miami game, I think that's the earliest you look at Drake Maye, because this is a winnable game. You'll take your game manager one more time. You play them at home. They're a bad team. They just lost to one of the other teams that's in the group with you guys, is the worst in the league, Tennessee. So roll with Jacoby Brissett one more time. It didn't work. It didn't work. In fact, he made a critical mistake at the end of the game. Like, we're done with this. It's time to just put the kid out there. I get that the offensive line is terrible and he's going to take hits all the time. You're not fixing that this year. You have rolled out 6 different combinations, whatever it is. Like each half, there's a new, alignment. There's a new combination for this offensive line. That's not getting any better this year. So by not playing him in the next few weeks, you are telling your fans, we're not playing him this year. You're not telling your fans that. You're also telling your locker room that. We're just not going to play him this year. We're going to completely punt on this season in terms of the record, but also Drake Maye's growth. We're just going to completely wash away his first season. We're going to completely burn a season of his rookie contract because we don't want him to get hit. Because this is not getting any better. There's no situation when the Patriots bolster their offensive line after 5 games. There's no way. There is no way. You got your left tackle back today. It still sucked. So, now is the time. Stop worrying about what your reporters are saying on podcasts and just doing anything to scrub that and making him go out and do an apology and maybe work about the damn product on the field. Worry about that. Worry about who's going to be playing quarterback for you. Worry about the 12 freaking penalties you took in this game, instead of making sure your Patriots.com reporter is not reporting a mutiny in the locker room, which there probably freaking is. Instead, they are more concerned about making sure nobody hears that They're more worried about that than the product they have on the football field. And it's just an embarrassing product week after week after week. Like, pound your head against cement every Sunday afternoon. That's what these Patriots are. And again, everything has to be taken into question with how bad this product is. Everything in the last few years, everything from the personnel to the coaching staff to ownership, it all has to be questioned with how bad this is. And it's not just this game, obviously. This is far more than this game. But if you don't see Drake Maye out there next week, I got to start believing they're just punting the entire season. More so than they already are. They're just going to waste a year of this kid's development in the name of, well, he's going to get hit. And I can't stand that anymore. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Sound off. What's so wrong with this team? Why are they the worst team in the NFL? Tell me down in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. Ring that notification bell to get notified every time we're going live after every Patriots game. And be sure to tune in tomorrow. Locked On Patriots, Mike Debate will have the full breakdown for you. A little bit more level-headed than I am, of course. So tune in for that and his great work that he does every day, because here on the Locked On Podcast Network, it is your team every day. And we'll see you next Sunday afternoon for the Locked On Patriots postcast.